44-year-old parcel handler Patty Marr is suing her ex-boyfriend, 37-year-old factory worker James Brown, for a series of unpaid loans. James says the money wasn't a loan until they broke up.
Order, all rise.
Somebody annoying you this morning?
No, not really. Your Honor, this is case number 73 on the count in the matter of Marr versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Marr, according to your complaint, you and the defendant met on the internet?
That's correct.
And began a relationship that lasted a relatively short period of time. During that time, it is your claim that you made loans to him well in excess of $5,000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The relationship is over, you want your money. The defendant says that he made no promise to return anything that you gave him, that everything that you bought or gave him were just that, gifts, right?
Correct.
Give me the date when, after you met him on the internet, you met in person.
March 20th of 2000.
And how long did the relationship last?
Up through February 27th of this year.
When was the first loan that you made to him?
May of 2000.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that.
At that time, he would tell me how stressed he was and he needed money for bills, about $500. And he wanted it in cash, and I did that for him.
Where were you when the conversation took place?
On the phone, late at night.
He said, you said?
He just said he was behind in bills. He didn't know what he was going to do. You know, he was very stressed. And when he gets stressed, Your Honor, he gets chest pains. And
so you said what?
I said, I'll be happy to loan you the money till you can get on your feet. And it was definitely a loan.
You didn't say to him it's definitely a loan. I just want you to tell me what you said to him.
I said, how much would it take to catch you up in your bills?
That sounds right. That sounds like something you might say to him. How much will it take? And he said $500? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You say he told you it would be about $500. Mm-hmm. And what did you say?
I said, I'll be happy to get you on your feet.
Okay. That sounds better. Not probably quite accurate. I'll be happy to help you. Or that wouldn't be a problem. I can help you with that. Is that what you said to him?
I will help you out until you can get on your feet. He was unemployed at the time.
Okay, so you said, I'll help you out until you get on your feet.
Mm-hmm. Which he never did, in my opinion.
Right?
Pardon me?
You said, I'll help you out until you get on your feet. Is that a loan?
Yes.
Yes, that's a loan. Perhaps, if he ever gets on his feet.
Well, he says he's broke. But
then
I know
he's not on his feet?
Well,
Miss Marr?
He is employed now.
Not on his feet?
That's a matter of opinion.
I understand that. That's not smart of you. All right. So when was the next time you claimed you gave him money?
Would you like to see?
I don't want to see.
Okay.
Listen to me.
There was tons of times, and the reason I just kept doing it is because he would tell me he had a terminal illness, he had a year to live. He faked heart attacks, and he would threaten to rob a convenience store, and I would panic and think, you can't do that. That's immoral. That's against the law. What can I do so you're not so stressed? He had heart attacks. That is how my husband died. I was just totally worked up.
Not true, Your Honor.
I have proof.
Just a second.
My son here, he has witnessed these things that I have said.
Listen to me. I want you to calm down
Okay.
and calmly tell me the next time you gave him cash. When was it?
It was in October. He had just moved to a different city.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with him. He moved?
I had spent a few days prior to that, and he never brought it up. The minute I get home from the weekend, he says how stressed he is, he's having chest pain, and that he's behind on some bills, and he needed to get them paid. There was utilities, the water was going to be shut off, his cell phone was going to be shut off, no phone, he wouldn't be able to come and call me. So
what did you say?
I
I'll
said,
help you.
what do you need? Why didn't you tell me when I was there?
Okay, and what did he say he needed?
About $600.
You have proof?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me look at my list here.
The first money in May of 2000, you gave him in cash.
That's correct, Your Honor. I have proof that it came out of my savings and cashier's check, that it went directly to him.
I want to know the next cash item that you gave to him.
There was always something, prescriptions.
No, cash.
I made cash deposits right into his checking account. And I have 3 times I did that in July and August. It was right after his back surgery. He couldn't work. He gave me the same old sob story. And I have all that proof right here, Your Honor.
Let me see it.
And that totaled $1,400 in 3 deposits.
I'd like to see proof of that.
Thank you.
All right, when was the next cash that you gave to him?
At the end of the year, $400. I have the withdrawals, and I gave him the cash.
That doesn't prove anything. You just withdrew $400, but it doesn't show that it was transferred into his checking account. Is that right?
He didn't have a checking account in town.
Yes, I did.
I gave it right to him because he came down to see me, and the only way he could come down to see me is if he rented a car, and so that's why I gave him $400.
All right.
He would constantly give me these stories that would...
Miss Marr, if you're constantly giving you stories, then you say to him, after the second time he gives you a story, you say to him, adios, goodbye.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patty Marr claims ex-boyfriend James Brown conned her out of money by playing on her sympathy. Patty says he faked a heart condition and a life-threatening illness.
Your story is, and I read your complaint, that your husband had died of a heart attack, that you met him, that you were very vulnerable, that he appeared very, very nice person, that he...
But he manipulated me.
Well, you're a grown-up lady?
But I was grieving at the time.
You're a grown-up lady?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so he took advantage of you?
Yes, by faking heart attacks, by threatening to commit suicide. I would be on the phone for hours.
Well, that would have saved you a couple of bucks if he committed suicide. You know, there comes a point when you say, listen, you got to do what you got to do.
But I cared for him. I loved him.
What?
I cared for him, and I loved him, and I believed, and I trusted everything he told me. He had me going all the time.
I got the picture. This is not a hard picture. This is a picture that I see time and time again. I have some money that she could establish she gave to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm not talking about buying you a new tire or buying you prescriptions or paying for your cell phone bill. I'm talking about cash money.
Yes, Your Honor. This is my current...
I don't care about your current. I care about the then.
But Patty had made statements that she wanted to talk to her, and she
Just pay attention to me.
Okay.
I run the show. And if you have a heart attack here, we'll make sure, very, very sure, sir, that you get out the door so you don't interfere with the rest of my calendar. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
She gave you cash. She wrote you checks. She deposited cash in your account. Is that true? Is this proof here that I have accurate?
Yes, it is, but
Perfect.
there is...
No. I'll ask the next question. Did you repay her in cash for any of this money? $500, $600, and $1,400. Did you repay her for any of that?
If she wanted me to come down and see her, why would I repay her when she wanted me to come down and see her?
The answer is either yes or no.
No, I told her there was never no talk about repaying her.
I'm asking you a question. Did you pay her back this money?
No.
You acknowledge that she gave you the money?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Now, are you currently under the care of a cardiologist?
No, Your Honor.
Did you at any time indicate to the plaintiff that you had a heart condition?
I do have a heart
The answer
problem.
is either yes or no.
Yes.
You did. And did you at any time tell the plaintiff that you were stressed financially?
Yeah, I was stressed financially, yes.
And after you told her that you were stressed financially, she gave you some money?
Yeah, she said, I'll help you out, here's a gift, you know. And I said, I can't afford to repay you. She knew I could not afford to repay her.
Why can't you afford to repay her?
I was unemployed, Your Honor, raising...
Why were you unemployed?
Because I had back surgery and
A lot of people
surgery.
have back surgery. When did you have back surgery?
June of last year.
Where had you been working before that time, sir?
I was working part-time at Walmart.
Part-time at Walmart? How old are you?
37.
Why were you working part-time at Walmart? What's wrong with you?
I had 2 stomach surgeries.
2 stomach surgeries for what?
Stomach was polyps, cancer.
You know, I doubt that. When was the last time you held a full-time job?
2 years ago. Well, actually, last year. The year before, it was 99.
Con artist. Are you the current girlfriend? Step up here. When did you meet Sir Lancelot?
I met him in February.
You met him in February?
2001.
Can't be without a meal check. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an internet customer service for Northwest Airlines.
How much do you earn annually?
I don't know, probably 25,000.
And what's Prince Charming doing?
He's working full-time. He
Where?
has been since I've known him.
Where?
He was at Minn Kota, and now he's at, they make trusts.
So he has a nice job?
Yes,
Good, he makes good money?
yes.
Perfect. You owe $2,500, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I had spoke with Patty on the phone, and she basically said if she gave him more money, he would come back, and she was addicted to
He
it.
faked 2 heart attacks in my home with my son present.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hansen versus Boren. Step forward, please.
43-year-old census taker Maria Hansen is suing 40-year-old gardener Michael Boren for assaulting her with a garden hose. Maria says the attack occurred when she tried to collect his census form.
Miss Hanson, your complaint is that while you were performing your duties as a census taker, you entered the defendant's home, and while trying to get the information from him that is required in the census, he assaulted you with a garden hose.
Exactly.
When did you go to his house?
May 2nd of last year, and it was a little after 8, maybe 8:15.
In the morning or
in the evening? However, the lights were completely on in the house. So at that point, I decided, you know, fine, if they're up, I'll do their census.
How
If
long
not,
had you
I
been
won't.
working as a census taker?
This was my 2nd day on the job.
Did you receive any training?
Yes, we had about a week's worth of training.
Were you told as part of your training that if someone decides that they don't want to give you the information, you just leave?
No.
What happens if someone does not wish to cooperate with the taking of the census?
Well, if they slam the door, you just leave. However, by law, everybody, including everybody from the president on down in this country, has to complete a census form.
Okay.
He
So-
already had received one form in the
Just-
mail, which he didn't complete,
Who was that, the defendant?
the defendant.
So you ring the bell,
Yes?
and this is a private residence?
Yes, I believe the door was actually open and the TV was on.
What was the next thing that happened?
Well, the defendant got up and he said, and I will quote, well, maybe I shouldn't in court.
No, you have to tell me
Okay.
exactly what he said.
All right, see that sign? It says no soliciting. Get off my porch.
Now, after he made that statement to you, what did you do?
I said, my name is Maria Hansen. I'm here from the census. I'm here to help you complete your census form.
And what did he say?
Get off my porch.
Okay, and so what did you do?
Then at that point, he walked out of the house.
And you were standing, but you were
I
standing.
was standing on the porch. And I started to fill out a form that we were given that explains, you know, sorry we missed you. You know, we're census, please call us back. We'll set up a time to interview you, blah, 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 blah,
So
blah.
he walked out the door, and what did he do?
Well, as I was filling out my form that I intended to leave on the door, but I did not, he was gathering up his garden hose and turning it on.
So
and
what did he
still
do?
screaming obscenities.
Just a minute. So he went to he picked up his garden hose that was in the front yard,
Right.
and
Turned it on. And as I decided to get out of there fast, because it looked like he was going to hose me down, he did.
if he, you, out. Good. All right, Mr. Borm, now let me hear your version of what happened, sir. Look at me, don't look at her.
I'd say closer to 8:30. I'm minding my own business, private residence, watching television, getting a little late.
Look at me.
There was a knock on the door. I don't have a doorbell. I went to the door, opened the door, a tiny bit, screen door closed, and I said, Now, she might have confused that I called her name. What I did, I told her in no uncertain terms, you're not welcome here. Get off the property. No questions asked. Leave.
Did you give her any opportunity before you slammed the door or told her to get off the property to explain what she was doing there, sir? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
What I'm going to ask you, sir, is unless you have some severe psychiatric history of which I am not aware, why would you not let this lady explain to you? I mean, she doesn't look like a psychotic person. Why wouldn't you let her explain to you what she was doing knocking at your door at 8:30 at night?
I have no soliciting signs. If
No,
somebody...
that's not my question. This lady does not look like an axe murderer.
No, ma'am.
Why would you not at least let her explain to you what she was doing there before you told her, on no uncertain terms, according to you, to get off your property?
You're right, ma'am.
Good. Then, since I am right, sir,
unreasonable,
I know I'm right, and I know that your actions on that day were totally inappropriate. The fact that you may have no solicitation signs on your property doesn't preclude you from being part of the human race. And lady came to your home. She could have just as easily come to your home for the purpose of requesting assistance because somebody was injured. She came to your home not to solicit to sell you a vacuum cleaner or a 36-piece set of Tupperware. She came to your home for the purpose of completing a census, which I am sure you received in the mail and threw away, at least once, because that's why she was responding to your location. Your response to that was to assault her. The law precludes you from doing that. Now, Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
suing the defendant for $5,000, and I think that that's an inappropriate amount.
Okay.
You weren't injured, you were humiliated, and you were frightened.
I did suffer from depression afterwards, and I do have a note from my therapist about that.
How long have you been seeing a therapist?
A couple of years I've been on antidepressants.
Okay, so you were depressed before, you were depressed after. This certainly didn't help your depression, unless you go home afterwards and say, listen, I just ran into somebody who's even in worse shape than I am, right? You know, which is something that I would have said, yeah, guy's even worse shape than I am because, you know, at least I can hold it together. Well, so you got to have a sense of humor about that. But I believe that your pride, and the fact that he did act in an inappropriate way, there has to be a statement.
Absolutely.
Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 131 on the calendar in the matter of Wishner versus Collazo. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Wishner, your claim is that the defendant assaulted you in a bar. You claim that she assaulted you both inside of the bar and outside of the bar later in the parking lot. Did you know her before this evening?
No, ma'am.
You had never known her before December 13th?
Yes.
Never spoken to her before?
Never.
Okay. So why don't you tell me about at least your version of what happened that evening?
Several friends of mine, we all decided that we would meet at a local bar, then go bowling, and then go back to the bar afterwards. So we all met, and that's where I was introduced to Marlena by a friend of mine.
Who's Marlena? That's you, Ms. Collazo.
Yes. And we then went bowling.
Who went bowling?
Mike, myself, two friends, Marlena.
So she went bowling with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I never really carried on a conversation with her because I didn't know her. Then after bowling, several hours later, we then went back to the bar to just hang out, have a couple drinks, and just socialize. And that's when Michael had asked me that Kristen was coming down.
Another girl was coming?
Yes. And he had said that she liked him. He asked me if I would go along and say that I was his girlfriend. I said, that's fine. Marlena was on the other side of the bar, sitting with Kristen. They were carrying on a conversation.
So Marlena, Ms. Collazo, was sitting at the other side of the bar with this girl who had a crush on
Michael.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Got to get me a scorecard here.
Michael and I were standing there talking, And before I knew it, Marlena had come up behind me, grabbed the back of my hair, and yanked my head back, and began to yell at me and call me a liar and said that I had lied to her. And
Lied to?
I had lied to her. She
Okay.
said that I lied to her or lied to Kristen. Michael had asked her to leave, so she had left the bar. From there, Kristen came up to me. She's like, I'm really sorry. She's like, you know, we were just standing there having a conversation. She's like, Marlena was supposed to come up and confront you and Michael about the situation, if you were lying or not. She's like, I never expected her to pull your hair.
So Miss Collazo left because Michael told her to leave.
Yes.
And she left the bar.
I wanted to know why she had pulled my hair. I went outside. I was standing there on the edge of the sidewalk. Her car door was open. She was getting into the car whenever I had asked her why she'd pulled my hair.
How far away from you was she when you asked her that question?
I don't know.
Point to
it was-
something in this room.
She was probably like where the flag is behind you, the navy blue flag on the right-hand side.
Okay, so pretty far away.
There was a pretty good distance between us.
Okay.
I didn't leave the sidewalk. I stood there and figured that I would carry on
So
the
you
conversation.
shouted to her, why did you
Yes.
pull my hair?
Exactly. I just wanted to know. I didn't care.
Why did you pull my hair? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Go ahead.
From there, she had shut the car door and began yelling at me. I guess she felt threatened that
Don't tell me what she felt. She shut the car door and started to yell at you. What did she say?
She just called me a liar and said that I lied to her about the whole situation when I didn't lie to her. I lied, you know, to Kristen. And she approached me.
So she left the car and came to you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
From there, we continued to exchange words, and before I knew it, she had jumped on me and slammed my head up against the car. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I did $400 worth of damage to the car with my head that she bounced off of it. From there, she continued to jump on me and beat on me. She had scraped my face with her nails, pulled my contact out of my eye, and every time I tried to get up and get away, she continued to jump back on top of me. I had a bruise on my left inner leg from continuing to fall. Numerous times I had asked her to get off of me, that I wasn't going to fight her. I tried pushing her away, and when I pushed her away, she then bit me on my hand. And I have pictures if you want to see.
I sure do.
She had bit me on my left hand in between my thumb and my pointer finger. The pictures are really hard to see. I have scars on it from where she bit me. From there, finally somebody came outside and pulled her off me long enough for me to go inside and call 911 and have the paramedics come.
Okay, now you hit somebody's Grand Cherokee, and reading between the lines in your complaint, I gathered that somebody was forced to pay for the damage on the Grand Cherokee. Who was
Yes.
that?
I had to pay $255.19. She was supposed to pay $220.19.
And you want her to pay not only the $255.19 that you paid for the truck, but also for your injuries
Yes.
that you sustained as a result of what you claim was the assault. Okay, did you finish your story?
I have all the medical reports. If
Okay.
you would like those.
No, I don't need them yet, but I may, so keep them handy. All right, Ms. Collazo, let's hear your version of the events.
Okay, everything's true up until the part to where we came over to talk to her. Also, she had talked to me earlier. She said she had no conversation with me at the bar at the bowling alley because earlier that day I had asked her and Mike, were they a couple, in conversation at the bar before we went to the bowling alley. And at the bowling alley, we did talk. I mean, you can't really bowl.
I don't care
Okay,
whether you
I'm just letting you know that we did speak. At the bar, yes, I was talking to Kristen. We were talking about the fact that Mike had told her that her girlfriend was there. And I said, what are you talking about? He doesn't have a girlfriend. She said, well, that's her right there. And I said, no, that's not her it's not his girlfriend. I said, they're making a fool of you, you know? And she's just like, I don't understand all that crying stuff. I was like, well, if you want to, I said, we can go over there and ask her right now, and you can stop sitting here being the, you know, the red thumb here and go on with your business. So we go over to the side of her, and I tapped her. She was turned around. Mike was in between us, and I tapped her on her shoulder, and I asked her the question, and she said no. And she looked at me with this face, and she's just like, well, why do you care? Why do you care? And she started getting loud in the bar. Mike was standing in between us, and he did not ask me to leave. He said, Marlena, I know you're better than this. And I said, I know I am. And I turned around, and I proceeded to leave the bar. I turned around, and she was right there, coming at me, asking me, who do I think I am, and why do I care, and why is this important to me? And she grabbed at me. So what was I supposed to do? Of course I grabbed her and started, I beat her up, but I mean, she had me, you know? And we hit the car, we hit the ground, we rolled around for a little while, and She got someone's cell phone because she was on the phone outside making phone calls, calling me a this, a that, I'm going to jail just because I'm a stupid N-word and this, that, the next and the other. And I'm like, whatever, I'll wait here for the police. The police came. He said, are you the person who called the police?
Can I see the police report, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Wishner says she was assaulted by Marlena Collazo during an argument at a bar. Stephanie claims Marlena rammed her head into the side of a truck.
So you left before the police arrived, is that right?
No, I left after the police got there. He pulled up right in front of the bar. I was still out front. He looked at me and he said, are you the one who called the police? I said, no. I said, I'm just trying to get my things and leave. He said, okay. And he went inside to talk to her.
Well, according to the police, you left before his arrival. Why didn't you hang around and speak to the police officer?
I was right there when he pulled up, and he asked me, he said, are you the one who called the police?
No, I'm not the one that called the police, but I know about this incident. You knew why the police were there, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you stay around and give your version of the events?
I didn't feel it was necessary.
No? Take any prescription medication?
Do I take prescription medication?
Do you take any prescription medication?
No.
There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this kind of an assault. This wasn't a single assault. This was clear. She beat you up. Okay? And she has to be responsible for that. But you also, it seems to me, have some responsibility. There's no question that two of you had been drinking that evening because you started out at the bar, then you went to the bowling alley where I'm sure you were drinking beer or whatever else they serve there, then you go back to the bar and you're drinking some more. So I'm sure that both of you were feeling a little bit loose. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, we were drinking.
Okay. That doesn't give you this. You understand that?
Yeah.
And you got involved with something that had absolutely nothing to do with you. You're talking to Christina. Christina wants to know if this boy is actually dating this girl. What does that have to do with you? And what do you have to start trouble for? You tell this girl that they're making a fool out of her? I mean, is that what a mature person does?
Well, they were.
What does that have to do with you? So, you had to pay for the truck? That's part of the cost of being stupid and going out and following her outside. As far as your medical bills are concerned, now I want to see your medical bills and the reports.
This is the hospital report. This is the medical.
You didn't see the doctor, I assume, Ms. Collazo, because you went home before you even spoke to the police. Is that right?
That's it?
Yes. I went home and I went to bed.
Went home and went to bed. Did you go to work the next day?
Yes, I did.
So I assume you weren't injured.
Not to the point where I felt I needed medical attention.
Well, tell me how you were injured at any point.
Okay, I had scratches all over my neck.
Did you have any photographs of that?
Did I know I was going to court? No.
Did you? If you had hung around Ms. Collazo and spoken to the police, maybe you would have known. Nothing more unseemly than women who drink. Medical bills total $1,160.
Can I speak right now?
Mm-hmm.
We had a criminal case. She already tried to get me for harassment, but the judge in Pittsburgh dropped the charges.
Well, I'm not dropping the charges. As far as I'm concerned, madam, you owe $1,160. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm tired of seeing her in court. This is my third time, and hopefully I don't have to see her ever again.
I really think she was out looking to just start something. And I was the lucky person.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Passariello versus Stillwell. Step forward, please.
Kalia and Vito Passariello are suing DJ company owners Jennifer and Eric Stillwell for ruining their wedding video. The Stillwells say the video was free.
Mr. and Mrs. Passariello, you were getting married, and you hired the defendants as DJs for the wedding. Is that right?
Correct.
And how many hours was the reception?
We had hired them to play for 3 hours.
What did your contract provide for?
$210.
Not a lot of money for 3 hours, right?
Average where we live.
Okay. How did you find them? Did you find them through an advertisement, or did somebody recommend them?
In the phone book, an advertisement in the phone book.
Okay. Had you asked for any recommendations?
We only had 2 months to plan our wedding, and in their advertisement, it says that they do a videotaping for free. And since we were in a hurry, we decided to go with them because we also wanted the videotape. So we chose
Let
them.
me see the ad, please.
We actually have two.
Just a second. So $210 was for the DJ. How many people? One DJ or two?
They told me that there would be one DJ, but there would be someone there helping him.
And was there?
There were two other people there with him.
Okay. So that's a pretty reasonable.
Right.
So you're not complaining. Your lawsuit doesn't complain about the DJ services. Your lawsuit says that they were to provide you your event videotaped free.
Correct.
That's what the ad says.
Right.
But not the DJ services. The DJ services you paid for.
Right.
The video was free. And what you're complaining about is the quality of the videotape.
Right.
Right?
And some of the service.
Well, you never like everything that a DJ does, Ms. Paciarello.
They lost our first dance song, and they also asked me to make up a song list, and the song list was not played. And we had picked out special music for the cake cutting, and it was not played either.
Ms. Paciarello, listen to me very carefully. I have made a lot of weddings. Never is perfect. Did you fire them?
Well, I couldn't send them home and have no entertainment.
Of course not. So you kept them for the 3 hours.
Right.
Fine. So you got your service provided for, because what you're suing them for is not $210. You're suing them for $2,110. You're suing them for 10 times as much as you paid because you say they spoiled your day because of the video.
It wasn't just that the day was spoiled. My husband is from New York, and his family was not able to attend, and we were counting on this video to include them so they could see, and it's so embarrassing. We cannot.
Then you should have hired somebody who was a professional videoer.
Well, their ad shows professional this, professional that, and they actually have it in a higher printing that your video service
is free.
Yes, but they're standing
Mr. Paciarello, it's ludicrous to believe that you actually thought that you were going to get both a professional DJ and a helper for 3 hours, plus a professional video, all for the bargain price of $210.
That's average where we live. It's not low, it's very average.
So what you're telling me is you can get a professional DJ and a professional video.
I don't know about a professional video.
You're not following what I'm saying, madam. It's ludicrous to believe that you could possibly expect a professional DJ plus a professional video.
They agreed to provide a video.
They provided you a video, madam. You may not like the video.
Can I show you the video?
No, I'm not interested.
It's awful.
Just a second. You should have hired a professional photographer if you wanted a professional video. How is somebody going to do a DJ, pay attention, professionally, as well as videotape an event to your liking, right? You want two professionals for $210.
They had 3 people at the event, one person to DJ and the other 2. One of the men was standing there with the camera. Now, we're not saying a professional job. We're saying at least an average job. This is
out of the
below
3 hours.
Where do you get standards?
Out of the 3 hours.
Just a minute. Where do you get
hired
standards for a free service that it's supposed to be average, below average, above average?
I'm sure it's rounded into the price somewhere.
Did you call for hey, Ms. Paciarello, I hear a lot of people complaining about wedding events afterwards. Sometimes I rule in their favor. When they hire a photographer and the photographer's pictures are so outrageous, and you've hired a professional photographer, they are successful. But you did not hire a professional photographer. You hired a professional DJ who was giving you as a service, as a free service, a video. I'm going to ask you only one other question. Did you contact, in the course of the 2 months preparation for your wedding, a photographer?
No, his father took all the pictures for our wedding.
So the answer is you did not contact a photographer.
We didn't need to. No.
Good.
Oh,
so I hope you have good pictures. Listen, stop making a mountain out of a molehill.
No, can you view the tape, please?
I'm not interested in the tape, madam. There are pictures on the tape. Is that right?
It's a video.
You can't see it. It's so dark you can't see it. And when we're cutting the cake, the speaker for this system, they set their service up right in front of our cake table, and you cannot even see Vito except for the waist down.
You hired a DJ.
But they agreed to provide another service.
They provided another service.
No,
they gave
didn't.
you a video. And the fact that, Ms. Paciarello, you're not going to get a dime. Understand that. You hired a DJ for $200 for 3 hours. Did you play 3 hours or more?
We played 4.
Played 4. Because they felt bad because they broke our first dance tape.
Fine. Well, that's a just a second. That's a very nice thing. So they played for
told him
4
to
hours. They played for 4 hours.
But I told him to leave.
No.
Yes, we did. He asked us several times if we wanted him to stay for a half an hour for 35 or a full hour for 70, and I told him no, because there was only like 30 people left.
Just a second. So are you telling me they didn't stay for 4 hours?
They did, but I didn't tell him to.
I
told
ask
him he could
Ms.
leave.
Paciarello, get this straight. They played at your wedding for 4 hours for $200. And for that, you also believe you are entitled to a video that is totally satisfactory to you.
No.
You are not entitled to that. Did you ever hear the expression, you get what you pay for?
Did you ever hear the
No,
expression?
don't ask me any
"Nothing's
questions.
free"?
That's right. Nothing is free and you get what you pay for. Case closed. Case is dismissed. That's
Parties
all.
are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 29 on the calendar in the matter of Matthias versus Matheson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Matthias, you hired the defendant's firm to re-roof your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you claim that in the process of working in your home, they tortured your dog.
That's correct.
They entered your home without your permission, or someone entered your home
correct.
without your permission. Nothing was taken, but you were forced to put new locks on the doors and windows. And you want the defendant to return the price of all the roofing materials that you paid for the house and for your aggravation.
Correct.
Okay. Defendant said his people didn't do anything and he should be paid for his work. I assume you were paid for your work, is that right?
No, I haven't been paid at all.
You haven't been paid at all?
No.
Okay. We'll see. What was the total cost of the job?
Total cost of the job after the second invoice was $7,597.
Can I see it, please? Did you give him any deposit?
No, ma'am.
So you gave him nothing?
No.
Did this price include the materials?
Yes, ma'am.
It did?
Yes, it did.
So you have paid for neither materials nor the roof?
I've paid for the materials, yes.
Who did you pay for the materials?
His supplier.
How much did you pay for his materials?
$2,400.
And is the material money that you want back?
Yes.
Okay. When were you supposed to pay him the balance?
I told him that I'd pay the balance after a person of the court told me to do so on good conscience. I cannot, after what happened.
Okay. Now, you were not at home when this work was done.
I arrived home at 3 o'clock and 2/3 of the job was complete.
You have, I assume, a witness who saw what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the witness? I assume you're the witness. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
My name's Karen Dick.
Are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
How far away from the plaintiff's house is your house?
They live directly across the street.
Would you tell me what you saw on that day?
Yeah, typically I get up in the morning and I prepare dinner for the kids. So I got up and I noticed out the window that we have over the sink that the neighbors were having their roof done. I went on about my business, and then as I'm looking out the window, I was at the sink doing something. I noticed there was a sort of a large dog. It wasn't a big dog. It was tall, but it wasn't too big. I didn't really recognize it. I've only been in the home with my boyfriend about 8 months, so I hadn't really met the neighbors. I've only said hello to them. I noticed the dog was on Joe's front lawn, kind of in the middle of about 5 gentlemen who it seemed like they were just kind of scurrying the dog. I didn't know if maybe the dog got out. They were concerned this dog's, interfering with their work, if they were nervous. A few minutes later, I came back to the sink. I now noticed 2 of the workers have hammers in their hand, and they're swinging at the dog. The gates open, so I realized that the workers must let the dog out. So at first I think maybe they're just trying to intimidate the dog.
What kind of gate was it? Was it a fenced yard?
It's a fenced yard, yes.
And you saw that
it was open, yes.
Now, when you saw them swinging these hammers, none of the blows connected with the dog?
I did not see that, no.
Okay.
As I'm watching, though, the dog's showing no aggression, so that wasn't the issue. And the dog is kind of scurrying back, and it's sitting back on its back legs. So it was surrendering. They could have easily put it back. At this point, now they're playing a game. The hammers are getting closer to the heads. They're laughing. They're smiling. They're going to hit that dog. So I'm screaming hysterically at the top of my lungs, please stop. What are you doing? And they get my attention, so I'm standing there to make sure they understand I'm standing there watching this. At this point, the two men walk away and the dog's still there. I go back into the home, and my boyfriend's mother, who's about 82, comes into the house, and I'm trying to explain to her, because her English isn't great, I'm trying to explain to her what's going on, and I'm looking out over her shoulder. At this point, I see one of the two gentlemen with a rope in his hand starting to do this, and I know what he's going to do. And I'm watching this, and before I can react, he's already got the dog by the two back legs. He's yanked the rope, and by yanking the rope so hard, he forced the dog to flip over on the back side, and from the left side of Joe's house all the way to the front side, to the far right side of Joe's house, through the street, not on the side, but through the street, he drugged the dog on the dog's back. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm fine.
Was there any, when he did that to the dog, when he tied the dog's back legs, were they still right near the fenced-in yard?
No. Thank you. The gentleman that had the rope was standing in the street when he picked up the rope, because he's walking down.
So the dog had moved?
The dog really hadn't really moved. The dog was still in the grass, from what I recall. He's still kind of on the grass. He hasn't really gone anywhere. The gentleman takes the rope, and he's walking this way. So he had gone down, I don't know if it's truck, I couldn't see from my window, but he was coming back. And when he came into my view, that's when he had the rope in his hand, and that's where he took the rope to the dog's legs. As he dragged the dog through the street, that's when I ran back outside, and I wanted to make my presence completely known that I'm watching this and I'm seeing who's doing this. Because he's tugged the rope so tight, there was no way for the dog to break free for quite some time.
How did the dog
Just by wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. At this point, the dog was able to run up to the front porch, and as I'm walking, because I'm moving this way, to see what's going on, the dog, I could see him burrow into the corner on the porch to just be left alone. The gentleman who had the rope walks up and kind of goes down and starts going, trying to get the dog to be nice. And I'm thinking, if you've done all this to the dog and you're not scared of the dog at this point, how could anyone even conceivably say that you were just intimidated by this dog and that's why you did any of this to get the dog back in the backyard? There was no intimidation by this dog. So I'm just standing there. I'm not going to leave until I can see this dog put back in the backyard. Eventually, the man does sit there. He pets with the dog, and he picks the dog up, and he does eventually put the dog in the backyard, close the door. I go in the house, and I don't know what to do. Again, I don't know the neighbors that well. I'm thinking, should I call the police? I don't want to stir something up, call the police, and then have a problem with the neighbors. So I'm thinking it's better for me to advise them first. I have to go to work, so I call my boyfriend, tell him what's going on, to please make sure that they're aware of what happened, to let him know when I come home from work, I will fill him in on the details. After I'd done that, I noticed the truck was open and I saw the phone number, so I called the number to see if I could talk to the owner of the company to tell him to please come out, and I would speak to him personally. When I called, the gentleman said that I'd have to leave my phone number, someone would have to call me back, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So I figure it's better for me to let things be until I get home to bring this out. And then that evening, that's when I went over and spoke to the Mathiases and told them what I had seen.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica and Joseph Mathias claim employees of contractor Glenn Matheson tortured their dog. The Mathiases say the workers hogtied their pet.
You also claim, Mr. Mathias, that the house was open.
Yes, it was.
Do you have a witness to that?
I have a witness from our mail carrier that said that she delivered...
No, you don't have a witness. If you don't
no, you're correct. I do not have a witness. I have a letter from the mail carrier. Okay, the mail carrier stated to me...
You can't tell me what the mail carrier stated. Okay. You can't give me a letter. I have to see a witness testify. You see, testimony is powerful. I can make a determination as to credibility, etc. There's no question that there was no property taken from your house.
I don't believe there was, no.
Good. You weren't there that day?
No, I wasn't.
So you don't know what happened?
Correct. Just from what my foreman, Bernie, just told me.
Okay. What's Bernie's last name?
Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez, would you step up, please? You were supervising these men that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you watching them at all times?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see what happened with the dog?
Yes, I was there too. I was, when the dog came out,
When the dog came out of where?
From the yard.
How did the dog get out of the yard?
One of my workers go inside to collect the electric power, the extension cord, and the dog, he leave the door open, and then that's when the dog come out.
So one of your workers allowed the dog to get out?
Right.
Were you told, sir, that there would be a dog there?
Paperwork that I provide suggests that they keep the dog at a neighbor's house or inside the house.
That's not what I asked.
No, I didn't know there was a dog there.
Okay. Go ahead. So one of your workers let the dog out?
So the dog come out and I start playing on the front of the yard. And I was talking to him by the phone, and so I saw the dog running,
running in the front yard?
On the front yard, in and out. And then, so I'm scared because I said, well, maybe the dog is gonna go away. So I tell my workers. So two workers come out from the roof to try to put the dog inside, back in the yard. But I never saw nobody hit the dog, nobody touched the dog.
No, there was no testimony that anybody hit the dog with the hammer.
Yeah,
there was testimony that they were motioning to the dog with the hammer. Did you see the dog being tied up by the back legs?
No.
Well, that happened because there is no question in my mind that this lady is telling me the truth. Any question in your mind that the neighbor is telling me the truth, sir?
I have no idea.
Well, I know, if you have no idea, I'm going to tell you that this lady is telling me 100% truthfully that the dog was tied up by the legs and pulled in the street. And if your worker, Bernie, didn't see that, then he didn't see everything. There isn't a reason in the world that this neighbor, who doesn't know these people from a hole in the wall, would come to court and lie for her and pick up the phone and call your company to tell your company.
I've got records that she didn't call.
Oh.
I get a log of every call that comes into my office.
That somebody records?
Correct.
So nobody recorded, just a second.
No, either name or number. They don't care. They'll record a message.
She wasn't leaving her name and number.
Correct. She left a message. I show no message.
That's your problem.
Well,
that's your problem.
It states that she didn't call me.
She called you.
She didn't.
Oh, yes, she did.
I don't have record of it. Every call that comes into my office.
No, listen to me, sir.
Recorded.
Listen to me carefully. Don't get defensive. You weren't there. Fortunately, you weren't responsible for this. But I can think of no reason why this woman, who is new to the neighborhood, would be so upset about what she saw to go outside, get the number from your truck, come inside, place a call, speak to somebody who said to her, according to her, which I believe 100%, leave me your number, somebody will call you back. She said, I'm not leaving my number, thank you very much, and she hangs up, and nobody records it in your log.
She said that they took a message to get me out to the job site.
No, that's not what she said. That's what you wanted to hear.
That's what
What she said was she wanted somebody to come to the job site, but they said to her, give me your name and your telephone number, and I'll have someone call you back. And she did not want to do that.
But she requested to leave a message. That message would have been taken and recorded and sent to me.
Just to say, I heard what you said.
Correct.
You're not hearing what I'm saying?
I'm hearing.
I believe she called.
I don't believe she called.
Then that's your problem. Fortunately, I'm in charge. I don't know if Bernie is lying intentionally or if he didn't see everything or if he wasn't watching what was going on there. You think these people are trying to scam you out of a roof?
I believe they're trying quite a bit. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
No. I think that the men that you hired did not do the right thing that day, and they were very angry. Whether or not it translates into them suing you for $5,000, I don't know. But there's no question in my mind, after listening to Bernie and listening to the neighbor, that she is telling me the truth. Bernie, two things. He either did not see everything or he's lying. Because he did not put the dog back in the pen.
I've never known
He
Bernie
did
to
not
lie.
put the dog back in the pen, Bernie. She says somebody came to the front door, one of the men came to the front door and ultimately picked up the dog and put it back into the yard after they got finished doing the stupidity that they were doing to this dog.
I was told the dog was dragged back into the garage. Getting a lot of conflicting stories.
Not
from
to
this
me.
side. Of course not.
Not to me.
I have.
Not to me.
I've received a number of different stories. And the dog doesn't get taken to the vet till 2.5 days, 3 days later after I tell him, no, I'm not going to settle for this. I'm not going to take your word or your neighbor's word. I'm not going to give you a financial benefit for this. I said, what do you want? He says, I want money from you. I own your company. I want a free roof. I said, I'm not going to give you a free roof. I'll sleep on it. He sleeps on it, comes back and says, I don't want to pay your labors. You know they're lying to you. You know anyone will lie in order to get paid. Well, to this day, they haven't been paid.
2 people attached to your company did the wrong thing that day with the dog.
It wasn't proven. You have
It's
one
proof.
witness.
Just a second.
You've
It's
got the
proven
vet who says there's nothing wrong with the
Just a
dog.
second. I didn't say that the dog was injured, sir. The dog was maltreated. The dog was
She could have
maltreated.
misconstrued what was going on in some parts, yes.
No. This lady didn't come out twice screaming because she was misconstruing what was going on.
She was concerned about how scared she was. Call the police. The police could have been there and taken care of everything. Everything would have been solved right then and there.
It's a possibility. She could have done that. She
But
could
she
have called
didn't.
the police.
So there was
Give me a reason. Think of a reason.
Why she didn't call the police?
No, think of a reason why she would lie. I can think of a reason why Bernie would lie.
Why is that?
Because he was responsible. He was the foreman on the job. He was responsible ultimately for the performance of his men and
He's
what they
performed
did.
jobs
I'm
for me for 12
speaking.
years.
I'm speaking. He was responsible ultimately for the performance. And if he came to you and said to you, I did in fact see two of my guys who didn't know what they were doing, who were just sort of fooling around with the dog, and one did put a lasso around the legs, but meant to put it around the head to get it back into the house, or he didn't see everything, or he figured, say nothing. I can think of a reason for him to lie. I can't think of a reason for her to lie.
And I can't think of a reason for him to lie.
Well, I can. So, and that's the only thing that counts. So, you have to prove damages to me, sir. What were your damages? So far, you got a $7,500 roof for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. The hardware replacement for the door locks and everything.
I'm not, listen to me. I'm not entertaining your claim for any door locks.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm concerned, they didn't do anything with regard to going into your house.
Okay, I felt in good conscience I should pay the materials for the roof. I'm not going to pay him until an officer of the court tells me to pay him for the labor.
Well, that's not...
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
The pet clinic was $31.
Let me see the vet reports.
And all the material has not been paid.
I have the receipt for
Material
that,
from
Your Honor.
ALL has been paid, but not material from my yard. Not all material came from ALL.
Your countersuit is for $4,500 for defamation of character and lost wages. The defamation of character, I assume, has to do with these people saying things about your business.
Correct. Contacting the Better Business Bureau, threatening to contact the newspaper, and degrading my company.
They are entitled to do that.
Your Honor, he's also put a lien on my house, I believe.
I have every right to lien the house. I haven't been paid for
You're
for a job.
absolutely right. Is this lawsuit supposed to determine that?
No.
So then why am I hearing your countersuit?
It's not for the lien on the house.
Well, what is it for?
It's for loss of wages for my men for the day, loss
what
of
day?
work, for today, for being here.
For today?
Correct.
Forget it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I believe that they have a perfectly valid claim against you because I believe that the people who represent your company did the wrong thing that day. First, they negligently let
Head